Welcome to the Black Gold Future Black Kings of Business podcast. And this is your host, SKP, Skills, Knowledge, and People. And I have a very special guest for my very first episode, Mr. Wayne Green. So welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here, man. Any way I can help.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the first question I have is, what type of entrepreneurship you're in today, and how long have you been an entrepreneur?
Well, the last question first. I've been an entrepreneur all my life, pretty much. It's a spirit, basically, that you have in you. It could be instilled in you, or it actually product of your environment and the people that you're around. But the answer to the question is that I believe that you really don't have a box for entrepreneurship. You do have things that you're good at, and part of entrepreneurship is to be able to facilitate what your calling is and what your worth is. All of that is built off of your work ethic. I am into real estate. I always wanted to actually be a real estate investor. And I also do martial arts, music, countless different things and everything. But what you do is you start with your passions. So early on, I wrote down my passions and the things that I knew that I was good at. And that's what led me into each one of those particular type of careers.
When did you know you wanted to become an entrepreneur?
I think part of it was instilled when I was very young. My grandfather was an entrepreneur, and back in the 50s. Of course, I'm not that old, but as I came along, he was still in business, and he actually owned a grocery store. So he put me to work at a very young age. Got a hold a lot of great information, meeting people and being able to see how he ran the store and see how he interacted with his community at the time. And it usually back then, the community was mostly African-American community that actually supported their neighborhood stores.
What was your first business?
Cutting grass. When I was a kid, I gathered some of my neighborhood friends and actually went around to the neighbors to see if they needed our service and started cutting grass. I started cutting grass for myself, and then some of my friends wanted to join in and make some money, outside of any kind of chore money you would actually get at home. We ended up turning it into a pretty lucrative little business being 13, 14 years old.
What was your mindset while you were in college?
That's a pretty interesting question when I think about it, how to answer it. I always knew that I was college material. The thing was, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do in college. Many of the things that actually I had choices of, I wasn't sure if that's what I wanted to do. And I guess the thing that bothered me the most going into college is whether I want to work for somebody for the rest of my life and everything. We all have to work for someone, of course, but wanting to work for someone and having no control versus working for someone and having more control for yourself or your own destiny, no glass ceiling. So it was kind of like a conflict when, my freshman year, because I was in mechanical engineering. And it was part of what I thought I would like to do. But as I got into it for 3 years, I kind of felt like I was lost. I wasn't really there. And the interesting thing is I had a professor who's a foreign professor. I don't remember exactly where he was from. And I was able to pass his course with least amount of study. And he recognized the potential, but he came to me and said, if you really are not into this, or you don't have your heart in this, you actually really need to decide on what you really want to do, because he recognized that my heart wasn't all the way in there. And I had to actually end up doing that for myself. Realize that, and I felt conflicted because, of course, my parents wanted me to graduate in engineering, and I only had one more year left to do. And, they felt like at the time was a waste. I just didn't see any passion. I didn't have any passion for it. And I just didn't see myself doing that for any long period of time. So I felt like I was letting my family down as well as myself until I realized that I can't follow someone else's dreams. I have to follow my own.
Excellent, excellent. And you said that you are a real estate investor. What does that entail?
So I know I like real estate, and I didn't really want to be a realtor. So what I did is I actually went and took real estate courses, and I was able to actually pass the course and everything. And my instructor urged me to go ahead and take the real estate test and everything else. Well, once again, I bucked that.
Right.
And that's not to say that, you know, that's the path for everybody. It was just it was almost an unconscious choice because I knew I was going into it to be an investor. So I just wanted to learn and have a structured education in it, and then take that structured education and then apply to the real world. So I ended up starting out buying my first property, and then I continued buying properties after that.
So for the viewers who don't know exactly what you do on a daily basis and that want to become a realtor investor, what are some highlights you would say for individuals that want to get into that same type of industry?
Oh, the great highlight is that it's almost like a twofold for me. Real estate investing gives you where you pretty much truly your own boss to a very large degree, because let's say in my particular case that I also learned how to be a contractor, so that way I can facilitate in repairing the properties as well as being able to buy the properties and rent them out or sell them. You know, working with realtors, working with other professionals on my own project. So I basically facilitated being able to actually pick the colors that go in the house, what type of materials that I use and everything. And that was my job on a daily basis. As a contractor, of course, that's an entrepreneurship as well. But I have clients that I have to answer to. So if I do any job for them, they're pretty much my boss until I get that job done. So, you know, there's levels of entrepreneurship as well.
Excellent, excellent. And what would you say the process to become a realtor investor?
Well, the thing is, start with what you know, then take that opportunity to actually continue to educate yourself, whether that's with podcasts, books, just going to the library. You have to start to understand the industry and the process that it takes and stuff. It's not something you just jump into, but it doesn't actually necessarily have to take a long period of time. With in a lot of cases, people don't have patience to actually cultivate themselves. And you have to look at anything that you do. If you play the guitar, you have to actually cultivate yourself in playing the guitar. If you actually, play a sport and everything, you have to practice. So basically, you have to take one step at a time. Those basic skills apply to most things that you do in life anyway.
Did you set like a 1 year goal when you first started, then like a 5-year goal to now?
Goals are good. Setting goals are always good. Being able to actually have a roadmap is always the most important thing to anything that you do. It doesn't have to be as rigid as what you plan it out to be, but you need to make sure that you do have a game plan. And then you have things like Plan B. Plan B can entail, a lot of different things. Working with somebody who already is in real estate, be an apprentice. So as you start to cultivate yourself once again, you have the opportunity to actually accomplishing something on a daily basis.
Excellent. What do you think it takes to become a successful entrepreneur today?
Well, the day is, this is a different day than, when I started out, but there's nothing, it's still a common thread that goes through everything. I think today you have so many resources at your fingertip, it helps even more to facilitate, but at the same time, you don't want to get overwhelmed by the information. And so it's good to have a clear, concise goal, what you're capable of, where you in the present moment. For instance, you can't actually buy me a $500,000 home when you don't have adequate resources to facilitate that. You have to realize this is that where you are, where you're trying to go, how long it's going to take you to get there. And that's just like if you traveling from here to California, where I live in Charleston. So you have to have a roadmap. How many hours is that to get there? And do I have how many stops to make? Who you visiting and stuff? Who's driving along with you? All of those different things help you, but you have to build teams. And teamwork is very important in the real estate business because you have so many other professionals that are good at what they do. And so you have to form certain alliances.
Can you expound upon how important network is and what does it mean to have a strong network?
Just have a strong one, but it's essential to have a network because no man is his own island and everything. So you cannot actually have where you're trying to go somewhere and facilitate something where you have no one that you can depend on, rely on, or duplicate yourself or anything like that. So your network is what you're building, and so as an entrepreneur, and it never stops. I mean, that's just part of the game, and I don't care what it is that you're into. Like-minded people that are capable of actually, have the integrity that you have and everything in order for you to do what you need to do.
You overcome the family pressures to sway you not to become an entrepreneur? Because I think that's one of the challenges a lot of people are facing too when they make that decision.
Sure. I mean, that's a challenge that I faced. I mean, entrepreneurs are people who have a dream of doing better. I have a dream of actually understanding they want to be outside of the rat race. Understand that they had parents that were struggling in 9-to-5s and never got anywhere, worked all their life, never got the pension that they were looking for. The struggle just continued and passed on for the generations to come. Having those disparities, it's important for us to try to realize we have to come into ourselves in order to actually expand and achieve and not actually be constrained by outside forces that actually tell you you're not good enough, tell you that you're not smart enough, tell you that, you're this color or that color, you black, you come from a poor family and everything. If you look at most of your entrepreneurs today, they come from very, poor backgrounds because they saw the struggles. They saw the disparities. If you're a complacent type of person or not a go-getter and everything, you're going to struggle with entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is a broad term. It's not just a narrow focus. The real key thing is that people are afraid to fail. And if you are fear-based that way, then you are definitely going to struggle with being an entrepreneur. Not necessarily that you have to fail, it's just part of life. And sometimes we don't equate it to being a part of life other than why this happened to me. You see what I'm saying? So if you look at all your, whoever you like as an entrepreneur that might want you to, or getting you into it, or thinking about it, you have to recognize that they have probably failed more times than you know. And you have to use those things as tools in your toolbox to continue on with the struggle that you are, that you're pushing forward, because it's worth it and everything. And the sad part about it, I think when people think about entrepreneurship, they think that, oh, since you're an entrepreneur, you must be real rich, you must be super wealthy, you have all of these things at your fingertips. No, it's a very challenging, very hardworking, but very rewarding job to do. You know what I'm saying? No matter what it is that you're doing. The general population of entrepreneurs should be our young people today, realizing that, yeah, if you have to get a 9-to-5, that's a stepping stone. There's time to do that. There's a time to step back. There's a time to move forward. But you don't stop. You keep moving. You see what I'm saying? So there's nothing wrong with a 9-to-5. I have plenty 9-to-5s, but I've always kept, working for myself on the board.
What is your greatest challenge as an entrepreneur?
The challenge is the networking part, being able to network with people that have the same, level of commitment and integrity and everything else to continue to work with you and help each other up. And so I think in my opinion, that's the greatest challenge, because either way, I'm gonna get up in the morning and work. I mean, either way, I don't have an alarm clock that actually is waking me up to actually go to a 9 to 5. I'm not built around that system. I get up in the morning and I have certain accomplishments I need to do just for that day. And I don't get all of them done, but I put them on the plate for the next day. And that's what you're challenged with. But are you doing enough? And you can only do as much as you can. As long as you can see that you're making some kind of headway, I think that's how you measure yourself. Are you satisfied with what you're doing? So you don't have nobody looking over your shoulder to actually say, you need to get up, or you need to take care of this, or you need to make that phone call, or you need to actually do your bucket list for the day. You see what I'm saying? It's your motivation. And that's where the challenge comes in at, where some people are not capable of actually doing that for themselves because they're used to someone telling them what to do that day and everything.
What motivates you to pop up and like, listen, I got these things to do today. And yeah, I might not want to do it today, but I know I have to do it.
Because I see the dream, baby. I see the dream. Excellent. And everything. Because I'm motivated for myself to accomplish what it is I'm trying to do and everything. I see the pie.
And this is for the fathers that want to become an entrepreneur. How do you balance that family and work life?
Oh yeah, I mean, it goes back to what we said earlier, is support system. So if you have a support system that's in the household and everything, then that means that they understand what it is you're trying to do, and they have to go along with the challenges of keeping that support there. And it is a balance. I mean, sometimes you get sidetracked. I mean, life does that to you. But the wisdom in it is that you just have to keep pushing, and you have to actually realize that nothing comes easy. I don't care what it is. And but if you do it long enough and you continue to try and pick yourself back up, 9 times out of 10 you'll be successful in it and everything. And then that's how you move on to the next thing.
I want to thank you so much, and I know you're so busy. Today we have Mr. Wayne Green on the Black Gold Future Black Kings of Business podcast with your host SKP, Skills, Knowledge, and People, and we're out. Peace.
Keep the dream alive. Peace.